Hey guys, Lynette here, and in today's video we are doing another book review. This one is Never Look Back, so let's get in and let's get into that review. All right guys, welcome back. So like I said, we're doing another book review. So this time we are looking over Never Look Back by Lilliam Rivera. So let me give you the synopsis, just give you guys a feel of what this book is about, and then we'll go over my exact thoughts on review on this book. Now, if you go over to Goodreads, and I'm actually going to read the description from Goodreads so you can see that there. So on Goodreads, it says, Yuri comes to the Bronx as a girl haunted by losing everything in Hurricane Maria and by an evil spirit. Ato, that's the evil spirit's name. Sorry, I almost went into the next sentence. She fully expects the tragedy that befell her and her family in Puerto Rico to catch up with her in New York. Yet for a time, she can almost set this fear aside because there is a boy. Isn't there always for us ladies? His name is Fias. Fias is a golden voice, bachata singing charmer, ready to spend the summer on the beach with his friends, serenading his on and off again flame. That's another girl. The changes when he meets you, but that changes when he meets Yuri. Sorry. All he wants is to put a smile on her face and fight off demons for her. But sometimes some dangers are too powerful for even the strongest love, as the world threatens to tear them apart. Yuri and Fias must fight for each other and their lives. This is an Own Voices retelling of Greek mythology, Orpheus and Eurydice. Okay, so that's the description of this book. Now, I have never heard of the story of a Greek. I love Greek. Well, I guess the Greek mythology that I've heard is probably the things that we've all heard either in school or things that we've had to read. So I've never really, I don't recall the story of Orpheus and Eurydice in Greek mythology. I don't know that, but this book was super awesome. First off, it brought my two loves together. New York City, being that she is in the Bronx, I'm from Brooklyn, and unfortunately the tragedy that happened in Puerto Rico, but the island of Puerto Rico. So it brings a storytelling of a young girl who grew up in, if you know anything about the Caribbean island, most of the girls that grow up, or most of the people that grow up there, it's more freeing and you're not huddled by society things, because it's a little different than growing up in New York City, which I was born and raised there, lived there most of my life. So it's a little different. It's more relaxed, you do struggle, but it's a little bit more, I guess, a relaxed, free living than what we kind of do in the US. So it's a little different. So I love the fact that they actually brought in the fact of Hurricane Maria, which obviously that means that this book it was written recently. Let me actually just look to see when this was, because I don't know, obviously after Hurricane Maria, but let me see if I can tell here. 2020, so this was just last year. So this is more recent, which I love. I recently was getting into a book that took place in like the 1940s, 1950s, and I was like, I kind of got a third into that book, and I was like, not really feeling the storyline. The girl couldn't drive because she's a female, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm one of those modern women, but I can't go back in the past to when we couldn't drive. So I kind of had to put that book to the side. I don't know if I'm going to get into that one, so let me know. Actually, the name of the book for that one is Mexican Gothic. So that one sets in the 1940s or 50s. I don't remember, but if you've read that book, let me know in the comment section below if I should go into that fully, because I'm actually like 21%, but that's another time. Anyway, so if you've read that, let me know in the comment section below if I should continue, if it's any good. But let's go back to this one. So this one took place in New York City in the Bronx. And the thing about this one is it mentioned like Orchard Beach. And I remember the summers growing up in junior high school and high school and even elementary school. Summers were like our freedom. We can roam around the city. We can roam around taking our trips by the train to the beach. They mentioned Orchard Beach. We had to drive because Brooklyn and the Bronx were so far apart, and my husband's from the Bronx and I'm from Brooklyn, so I used to always joke with him, Like Bronx was a rare treat. Like I have family members in the Bronx, and our whole family would pack up the car and drive to the Bronx because it would take us a long time to get there because it was so far from us. We were in Williamsburg, and she was off, I think it was a Throgs Parkway. She lived right off of there, but for us just to get there, we had to go through Manhattan just to get over there. So it was like a really long time to get there. So for us, we would go as it was a family trip. So I rarely went to the Bronx, but as I got older and got into high school, that's when, you know, your friends were driving at that point. So you can take more trips to Orchard Beach. Orchard Beach was basically a concert on the beach. There was always music on the beach. So the bachata music and salsa that they mentioned in the book, that was like constant in Orchard Beach because you would have like popular singers singing right on the beach, and you can see there was like a concert that you didn't have to pay for. You can hear them right on the beach as you're sitting there with your friends. So that was like one awesome memory I guess I could think back to of Never Look Back. Now, the thing that I love that I haven't read a book that did this was that Lilliam, she touched base on mental health. Now, mental health, she touched base to the fact where Yudi's mom didn't want her daughter to see a therapist after Hurricane Maria, and she seemed to be very affected by the hurricane and having lost all her possessions, her house, her whole, basically her country is what she lost. And I haven't heard of an author touching base on that in the Latino community at all. There is, for us, and my husband is Black, so there is like a stigma within the Latino and Black community of going to therapy just to bottle everything in and just wait. So she covered mental health in the perfect sense because her mother was from Puerto Rico. They were raised there. So this is born and bred Puerto Ricans, just not trying to get into the mental health capacity. Just, hey, you'll push through it, keep pushing, you're a strong woman. But when she got to her family, and this is totally spoiler free, so I'm not gonna dive deep. This happens in the very beginning. When she gets to her family, her cousins in the Bronx, they're like, hey, you gotta see a therapist because there's so much help for you right now. So that's like, it's so funny. It kind of combines the two differences between American families and probably your family in the Caribbean or maybe your family in another country. We're all raised up so differently, but here in America, at this point, 2021, mental health is like an open subject. You can openly speak with that in your family, but in some countries, there is still a stigma of even taking medication. So I love the fact that they touched base on this. The only thing I wish, and like I said, this is totally spoiler free. If you love books set in New York City, you're gonna love this one. It doesn't, like, New York City is not the main story point, but I love books that take place in New York City. It's not the main storyline, but it's just the love of books that I have. But I really wish she would have touched, like, this book could have been a little bit longer. I listened to the audiobook, and you guys know if I love a book, I'm definitely gonna buy the book itself so I can come back to this later and just take a look and read outside, maybe in my patio. But I really wish she could have gotten to the building a relationship between Yudi and Fias, because I think it would have, an issue like this, when you're getting over mental health, the ending, I'm not going to get into it. Like I said, I'm keeping this spoiler free. Mental health is an ongoing issue, so there's never going to be an ending to that story because you're always building on it. It's kind of like, not that I've ever dealt with it, but it's kind of like drug abuse, alcohol abuse, AA. When people get focused on AA, and I follow a lot of YouTubers who actually always mention that in their videos. This is a constant struggle that they have to work on every day. So don't expect the book to end in the way that you assume it's going to end. The ending was awesome. I love the ending. The ending went into a different capacity, I would say, without spoiling it for me. But if you've read the Greek mythology between Orpheus and Eurydice, then you probably have an idea of what direction that would be. If you haven't read that Greek mythology, don't, because this totally brought me to another level, and it was like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? It was so cool. But just go to this book with an understanding and an open mind that mental health, just like drug abuse and alcohol abuse, it's not you don't close that chapter when you're done with the book. So just come with that with an open mind. But I like I said, I love this story, and I wish she could have maybe built a chapter on more of the building the relationship between Yudi and Fias, but it really wasn't about, this story is not a romantic novel, in my opinion. It's not. So it didn't have to be there, but in a sense, things kind of felt like things were skipped. So I feel like she could have built on it, but I am not a writer, so I don't like to dive deep into why they thought they should skip that part. So obviously this was about Yudi and not the relationship between her and Fias. I feel like there's people that come into your life for a moment, for a purpose, and I think that's kind of, I don't know, I could be wrong. You let me know in the comment section below. I feel like this was a story that people come into your life for a moment, for a purpose. So I feel like this is that book. Fias was there for the book, for a purpose, and you never know what's going to happen in the future because this is an open-ended story. Like, I feel like she can take this book, Never Look Back. She can take this book and kind of do it like a part 2. What happened? You know, what happened in the future? Where do things fall? How did they fall? But it definitely is a good book to read. It definitely was a good book to read. So out of 5, if I'm looking out on Goodreads, hold on. If I'm looking on Goodreads, I'll tell you guys the score. Out of 5, I would give this a 4.5 because, like I said, it touched a storyline that in the Latino community we do not touch base on. And on Goodreads, they're giving it a 4.04. I don't know what that's about out of 5. But I wanted to touch base on something one of the reviewers said here. So she said, wow. Yeah, it says she. Sorry, I was like assuming. Wow, this is a genius. Challenging when I realized I'm reading the retelling of the most outstanding Greek myths, Orpheus and Eurydice, with Latinx characters. I wholeheartedly enjoyed the idea. So I dived into the story without reading any reviews for not being biased. Same here. I usually read, when I try to find a book, I'm trying to see what's the set point. Like I said, I love books that were based in New York City. So that's kind of what I go by. So kind of go into it with an open mind, like I said, because it does go into subjects that you're like, wait, what's going on here? And then you realize what's going on and you're like, oh, okay, that's different. So I love that point. I'm trying to make sure that they do not give out any things. So overall, I liked the lyrical, emotional, and thought-provoking approach of the book. I'm giving my mythical, musical, young, and sweet 4 stars. So they gave it 4 stars. Like I said, this book was super awesome. If you can get your hands on it and you want something different for the summer, this is definitely a book you want to grab a hold on or take a look at the audiobook. I loved it, and that's why I had to purchase it, and I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. So, and like I said, the only reason I gave 4.5 out of 5 was because, from what I mentioned, I feel like there could have been a built upon for the relationship, but that's really the only little point that I took off for it. But otherwise, it was an awesome read for me. So with that being said, let me know in the comment section below, what book are you reading right now for the summertime? And we'll see you on the next video. Have a good day, guys. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another video. Have a good day, guys.